Blackrock continues to buy Bitcoin at a record pace. I'll share the updated numbers with you. And Bitcoin is looking bullish on the weekly chart as its dominance has reversed. Could we see the next major move soon? And Ethereum traders have put a big bet in that they're expecting higher prices. This is significant for the altcoin market. And XRP's futures surpasses Solana's futures. I'll give you the details on the CME. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, Bitcoin continues to bounce between $100,000 and $107,000. It's back over $106,000 and we're waiting for this mini consolidation to be finished and for the next move to come. Now, as always, we don't have a crystal ball, but based on the signals we're seeing, we could see higher prices, but there is the possibility of Bitcoin retesting some lows before we bounce, and that could happen in a short window. So I'm just giving you all the scenarios because as educated investors, we want to be prepared for different scenarios because we don't know what the future holds, but we can look at the signals and the metrics and the charts and much more to get an idea what may come next. Essentially using the data to get a form a thesis on the next directional move. So we know we are still in a bull market and that we're waiting for upside. It's just a matter of being patient. But when you look at Bitcoin on the weekly, it still looks really bullish. And the MACD is still showing additional green candles. They're becoming larger, just like they've done in previous rallies. So that's a very good sign. The weekly looks really strong here. And everybody's waiting for that next move because, of course, altcoins follow. Now, we've been tracking Bitcoin dominance, and that was falling off a cliff, but all of a sudden it reversed. So this is a good sign because it shows Bitcoin will pull some liquidity from the altcoins and keep moving higher before it ultimately rolls over and altcoins steal the show. This is how it's played out. I don't make the rules. This is just the chart patterns and the data we've seen on chain. So let's see how this week plays out. Maybe nothing happens this week and the fireworks start next week. It's TBD at this point. But in looking at all factors, global liquidity continues to increase. And we know Bitcoin follows global liquidity as well as the stock market. Risk assets all follow global liquidity. And when you look at the pace of where Bitcoin is now, because there is a lag, it lags global liquidity by maybe a few months or so. So Bitcoin still has room to go here. And the global liquidity is consolidating right now at a top near approximate price of 128,000. If a Bitcoin was to catch up, if now, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but if Bitcoin was to catch up and follow the pattern that it's currently following, then we could see Bitcoin go to 128, 130K, possibly higher. You could overshoot it, but we're going to play it conservative and just say, hey, look, it may go to 128K or 25K, that range. So the data is there supporting all of this. And in addition, USDT tethered dominance continues to show weakness. It has been collapsing over the past few weeks. It's currently consolidating here, but it's still showing a lot of weakness. And of course, the DXY is down, and this is usually the dollar currency index. This is usually a signal that risk assets are going to move. So here, analyst Crypto Wizard shared a great chart comparing Bitcoin's price movements to the DXY price movements. He says, if you didn't believe me at $94,000, now how about $104,000? Every time the DXY entered a downtrend, Bitcoin lagged until around 140 days after, where it finally explodes into a parabolic bull. So as the DXY is crashing down, it becomes risk on. And then you have global liquidity on the rise. So that, of course, adds fuel to the fire. So we're seeing the setup here for the continuation. It's just the waiting game. And I know a lot of people get impatient because a big part of investing is patience. And you can listen to Warren Buffett on things like that. You can read books from Warren Buffett and much more. That is the big thing that retail is not able to do. They get too emotional, they become impatient, and they give up. And then all of a sudden, they jump back into the market when things start moving, and that's usually the wrong time, right? They become part of the dumb money crowd. But we want to be smart money. We want to buy the lows and be patient and have a cash out plan and take profits at our respective price targets. And what's interesting, folks, is BlackRock continues to buy Bitcoin at a record pace. If you look at this chart here, shout out to Thomas on X, who has been tracking this since the ETF's launch. BlackRock now holds over 636,000 Bitcoin. You look at this chart, it's just moving up and up and up. And there are periods where it plateaued and there has been a little bit of outflows, but for the most part, the trend is just up and up and up. And they bought 2,910 Bitcoin yesterday. That is incredible, folks. So we are seeing the world's wealthiest asset manager continue to pitch this to their client and getting tons of money being put into their ETF. So this is a sign they're anticipating higher prices, right? Because BlackRock's not going to pitch this to their clients to buy at the top and things along those lines. And once we do hit the top of the market, you could see some outflows. Do I think everything will outflow? Of course not, but we could see some outflows there. But right now, it looks like it's nonstop accumulation. Now, here's something very bullish because it's indicative of what we can expect from altcoins, such as Ethereum and others. So Ether is set to explode as traders pump millions into a $6,000 ETH bet. So many traders are expecting $6,000 by December 26. So over 30,000 contracts were executed over the counter, costing $7 million. Ether's price has surged over 80% since April, with analysts optimistic about further gains. So you're seeing traders are taking this bet. Now, it doesn't mean that they're right. So I want to make sure I give that caveat, right? They could be wrong. But when you take this data or this information and put it together with all the data points that we're looking at, because we're not looking at just one data point or two, we're looking at multiple. We're not having tunnel vision for one thing here. We have to look at it holistically to make sure we're educated about all scenarios. The setup here is beautiful. So of course, take this for what it is and just an additional confirmation to the data we're looking at that things are going to go higher. So this is very bullish, folks. Now, moving ahead, we got some data here about the XRP futures, which were launched yesterday on the CME. As I've been telling you all, this is key for the SEC approving the spot ETF. Now, the SEC did delay or push back the XRP and Dogecoin proposals again, but that's expected. We've been talking about the timeline, and the deadline is till October, and that the SEC needs to have the features in place, but they also want to have a sample size that they can view. They're not just going to approve this the day after the futures has been launched. That doesn't make sense. They didn't do it for Bitcoin. They didn't do that for Ethereum. They're not going to do it for XRP and Solana. So XRP futures generated $19 million in first day trading on CME Group, outperforming Solana's launch. So great to see institutional investors are interested in XRP, and clearly more so than Solana in this instance. But it shows XRP this cycle has a huge narrative, a lot of bullish momentum. And we saw that just in 2024 as the market was rallying. XRP was outperforming other altcoins. Its chart to this day still looks incredibly bullish. So those are the facts, not feelings or emotions, because people are going to get triggered. Oh, Solana is better than XRP. Well, maybe it is, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what does the free market, the traders, how do they feel about it? So really great sign here. And you can imagine once the spot ETF goes live, what type of activity we're going to see there. And James Seyfert, I mentioned the SEC delayed the XRP and Dogecoin ETFs. He says this is, not unusual. He said, I wouldn't expect to see them until late June or early July at absolute earliest, more likely to be the Q4. So talking about the approval of the spot ETF. So I think everybody recognizes that this is par for the course, nothing unusual here. So no need to panic or whatever it may be. Now, folks, quick word from our sponsor, and that is Propy. Propy is leading the charge with putting real estate on chain. Folks, as Larry Fink said, tokenization is the future of finance. They're going to put all the assets on the blockchain. I've been telling you, blockchain will power the governments, markets, and economies. We're seeing stable coins. We're seeing tokenized funds, different tokenized assets. And of course, real estate is going to be tokenized. It is one of the largest asset classes out there. And being able to tokenize real estate is going to be part of the future, in addition to improving the way we do real estate transactions. So on Propy, you can buy and sell properties for crypto. and their platform is powered by blockchain. They're putting deeds and titles on the blockchain. They've created NFTs for properties. They've been around since 2017. They've facilitated over 4 billion in transactions. They use Coinbase for the escrow service, and I'm a Proppy token holder. I took a bet on this token in 2018 because I saw Proppy leading the charge in disrupting real estate with blockchain and Web3 tech, and no one else was doing it. So I'm very bullish on this project in the long term because once again, the direction we're headed in, all of it is going to be on the blockchain, and the real estate industry is primed to be disrupted with blockchain cutting out a lot of middlemen and fees. Proppy is on the forefront of that. So if you'd like to learn more about Proppy, visit the link in the description. Now, folks, we continue to see different cities and states and countries all in a race to attract crypto business because this is the next big asset class and technology. And many folks are trying to position themselves to have companies come in their respective city, state, and country so they can earn the revenue, create jobs, and all that. Well, look at this. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is creating a crypto advisory council. Now, some people may not like Eric Adams, right? We know how politics is, but put politics aside for a second and just look at the game theory that's playing out here. This, as an investor, you have to be careful to not get emotional and also not let bias or political stances muddy your view of things like this, because at its core, it's simply adoption happening. So important to see it from that perspective as well. Let me give you some details. So a digital assets advisory council is coming to New York City, said Mayor Adams at a Tuesday summit. We have experts right here, and they are going to help us navigate solutions that serve our city. Folks, don't be surprised, and I'm not saying this is happening next month or next year, that these cities start integrating blockchain into different services. So whether it be parking meters and whatever else public services out there, blockchain and crypto and stablecoin acceptance will be integrated. I think cities are going to become more digital and blockchain is going to power them. I remember some folks years ago were trying to do this. I believe it was in Las Vegas, if I'm not mistaken, but it was too early, right? We need the regulations first so that the companies out there can go build the infrastructure, because the public sector, the governments, state or federal level, they move slow. They don't often do things that great. But if they partner with the private sector and hire them as contractors or whatever, they can go integrate these things. And crypto companies and even the TradFi folks who are getting into crypto can jump into the mix as well. So I hope you see where things are headed. Everybody's headed in the same direction here of blockchain, digital assets, and crypto. I don't think the mayor would be wasting his time on this if it wasn't the future. And remember, there are folks literally out there who still are commenting online, this is a Ponzi, this is a scam, blah, 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 right? But they're not educated. And they will be using this technology in one way or the other, and even try to jump on the boat when the prices start surging, because human nature will play out. They're going to realize, oh no, I missed the boat, I was wrong. And if they're not educated, they're going to move by emotions, and greed comes into play, and that's the dumb money crowd. But count yourself lucky. You are here early, buying the dips, educating yourself, understanding what's happening here. Congress is about to, get crypto legislation fully passed, and obviously it goes to the president. But just yesterday, we got a huge victory with the stablecoin bill in the Senate. And obviously JP Morgan yesterday, I wrote about it in my newsletter today, capitulated. They're going to offer Bitcoin to their clients. So Bitcoin's biggest critic and final boss has been defeated. So incredible stuff, folks. I'm very bullish. And speaking of New York, look at this. Solana Spaces comes back to life in New York City. So you're going to start to see these different crypto projects do creative things to market and help people to learn about what they're doing. Am I a big fan of some sort of brick and mortar store? Maybe not. It's not for me, but it could be for other people, in reaching the masses. So a meme coin community delivered on a brick and mortar pop-up store. So don't be surprised, again, if you start seeing things like this. So all of these things are going to build awareness and help with mass adoption. Now, this is an interesting update around the SEC. We know the SEC has become pro-crypto. They got the crypto task force. Hester Peirce is doing a great job. Paul Atkins and all that. They've been giving clarity on different crypto aspects and sectors of the crypto industry, which is really great. But they have not stopped their moves against fraud, which is great. We want to stop bad actors. We don't want fraud. And here, Bill Hughes of Consensus highlighted that the SEC today charged New York City-based Unicoin and three of its top executives. I don't know what the hell is Unicoin. I've never heard of it, but the SEC is charging them with, false and misleading statements and offering certificates that purportedly conveyed rights to receive crypto assets called Unicoin tokens and an offering of Unicoin Inc.'s common stock. I'll leave it at that. I'm not even going to go through details. You guys can research it, but great to see the SEC still going after bad actors. That's important because we don't want another FTX. We don't want another Celsius, and we don't want people coming in and scamming folks. And speaking of scammers, I posted on social media today, there are folks on Telegram impersonating me, creating groups. Folks, I don't have a Telegram group. I will never, ever ask you to send me money or to go buy any specific crypto. If you get a message like that, it is a scammer. Report it immediately. If someone says, hey, come join my, they're impersonating me and they say, come join my Telegram group and all that, right? They're sending you messages on social media. Please verify who's sending it to you and then report the hell out of them. If I'm going to create any type of group, I will announce it here on the podcast. You will see my face. You will hear me on the audio and the podcast networks. I will put it in my newsletter. It will come from my official social profiles. But heads up, I have no Telegram group, so please watch out. There's people who are going to message you on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, Instagram, because these scammers don't stop. So please, please, please don't fall for it. Please, I don't want any of you to lose money or lose your crypto. That would be really bad. So be careful, double check everything. Final news item here. This is fascinating. Justin Sun, founder of Tron, he apparently met with Jed McCaleb, the OG and the Teflon Don, as they would call him, the man who, of course, started Mt. Gox, then went to was one of the co-founders of Ripple, then of course started Stellar. Now he's gone beyond crypto and he's part of the space race. He has a Vast, I believe, is the company working on rockets and things along those lines. So Jed, man, I would love to interview Jed. I know some people don't like him because of the Ripple situation and all the XRP he was selling over the years and much more. But it's interesting that Justin Sun is meeting with him, and it looks like they're going to do some sort of collaboration. But Justin hinted that it was more on the space sector side, not so much crypto. But we'll see. One thing to think about, we're far away from this, but as the space race heats up and space exploration becomes a real thing and we start colonizing and so forth, and once again, we're far from that. Are we going to use cash in space? Nope. It's going to be digital currency, stable coins, and much more. And you're going to need blockchain for verifiability and to be able to do things in a fast, easy, and transactable way. You're going to need atomic settlements and so forth because, I can't easily walk over and say, here's my Venmo app, send me something. You're going to need blockchain rails on money levels, but, space commerce is going to be a thing. And if you don't think that's possible, go read your history with the last industrial revolution, where we went from the horse and buggy to the automobile to electricity and light bulbs and then rockets and then trains and airplanes and all that, right? Who would have thought of that back in the day? And now we have the technology. Clearly, the folks at SpaceX and other companies are building the rockets, making further iteration, getting better at what they're doing. We have AI to assist us and to help us to get these things done, and robotics, obviously. So the technology is there. So it's like how we are in the early 2000s here, if you want to call it. I know we're in 2025, but if you compare it to the early 1900s, and how things started slowly and then sped up really fast, and the technology and the infrastructure and the things we have now. It took about 100 years or so, over 100 years for it to get to the place where it's at now. Just imagine 50 years from now, because the technology is going to move faster, because we have AI and blockchain and robotics, and much more. The future is going to be pretty incredible. Obviously, there's going to be some downsides. There's always pros and cons, but that's a conversation for another day. So, folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. A great way you can support me in the podcast is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It's 100% free. Also, check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And check out my course at mycryptocourse.com. Folks, thank you for watching and listening. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.